SkewMond, but look at the damage already onto Labrov. Caliste with the cleanse away, almost got Labrov. In the end, it's Targamas that falls. Caliste was a gnat's whisker away from killing Labrov.
It's good. Flash. I can look as well, look. Yeah. Look at snap. Okay. Slowly. Doing it. Flash on still. Yeah. I can take. It's minor flashing. I'm fine. Guys, we have mesh piece. Slowly. I have E1. No flash. Nice, guys. Huge. I can also reverse, by the way. Yeah. Flash, no cleanse.
And welcome back to the desk after the first game of this fearless best of 5 between KC and G2. And so far, pretty one-sided victory on the side of G2, who come yet again with a banger preparation against KC. Labrov James is back, guys.
Labrov James is back. Very standard drafts, honestly, coming out of game 1. We saw the Blitzcrank, obviously, that had a huge impact. And Asama once again getting the Astral really early in the series and showing why that's such a power pick in the world right now.
I feel like it still wasn't really that much of a standard draft. I feel like G2 really opted for something a little bit unconventional, at least.
Yeah, you didn't like it at first. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
To be honest, I was very skeptical walking into this draft because I was like, it goes away from the typical G2 win conditions where they have a lot of engage, and I feel like right now their only win condition was the Blitzcrank, you know, the Maokai Blitzcrank combination, but I feel like they played it off well. I just didn't really expect it to work so well, given the caliber of the opponent that they're playing today.
I mean, anything will
kind of work. When you have like such a strong Astral in the early game, then it makes it really easy to just, you have that damage always, and Labrov is being so clutch on these hooks. I feel like this first 2v2 can really set the snowball going for the G2 squad.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a weird thing with Blitzcrank. It's not so much the kit, it's not so much the hook, it's the mental effect that it has on the opponents, because I really feel like, Odo, that KC kind of lost their mind disrespecting the impact that this Blitzcrank could have.
Well, the problem was that they just lost early lane or early game very, very hard, especially in the bot lane, and it felt like you just, once you lose track a little bit of the Blitzcrank, you get this mental stress that you feel like the Blitzcrank is in every single brush on the map, and you see and you think that he's just everywhere.
Yeah, when the map is dark and
and full of terror.
The night is dark and full of terror, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that is just like, I feel like Blitzcrank went behind, it's just so useless, but when he gets this early lead, it just becomes so annoying, and I feel like it was really hard for KC to get a foot in the entire game.
And that's the thing, because grabbing an early lead is easy, let's say, in this kind of situation, but you have to hold on to that lead. So I'm interested in the work that G2 has been doing macro-wise and on the map to actually keep them in the dark.
Well, this team comp is do or die by the Blitzcrank and staying ahead in tempo, and I feel like if you can bring up the replay right now, what Labrov and G2 does is extremely well, because right now, Blitzcrank is off on the map by himself, getting full bot side control, and right now he's the first on the map to base. He's gonna be looking to base ahead of G2, and once they solidify this control, what's he gonna do? He's gonna run into top side, and this is the power of Blitzcrank. You need to be in positions first, because the enemy needs to phase check into you.
Yeah, so when Casey thinks he's sitting in bot side and putting that vision there, he's already in their top side, clearing their new vision here. And here they see him, they're defending bot side, and he's already here.
And even though they don't really get a lot of impact from this play, they only get vision and they try to get an attempt at sieging the tier 2 top tower, the fact that K-Corp doesn't really get a foothold in this game and they're constantly being forced to react to where the Blitzcrank is just takes away valuable time and win conditions from the side of K-Corp.
Very one-sided gold graph that we see here. I'm really happy to see this again. Jungle support duo working so well for G2. We know that it was a huge bet for them, and they're starting to ramp up here in this playoffs. I'm just wondering what is going to be KC's answer here, because as we said, first game was a bit conventional in terms of draft. We have KC on blue side now. It's fearless. I know, we love it. What are they going to come up with?
I wanted to set up Caliste more for success. I feel like this game he was kind of left alone. The Lulu was roaming mid a lot just to help, and a lot of the early resources went into this Azir, which he couldn't really translate much into the rest of the map. And I feel like Caliste just, when he was alone there, the map was very dark, he couldn't face check, and he just kept getting caught. I need to see him more on comfort, more on champions that he knows he will perform at.
Ezreal, Varus are out. I see a Caliste angle here.
Well, it might be getting banned. I don't really feel like the draft was the issue, or the fact that Caliste wasn't really empowered, because this was probably Caliste's worst game ever since he got into LEC, but I'm still not concerned. I feel like it was a team-wide mistake in that sense, where I feel like K-Corp just didn't really wake up and realize that they need to really secure this bot lane push against something as unconventional as the Blitzcrank. But moving forward, I'm not really looking for any sort of adaptations from K-Corp in that sense, because I feel like their draft was solid, but it just felt like they're not really tackling this early game, or they're playing to the win conditions well.
Yeah, I mean, any game is going to look hard when you get 2v2 kill bot level 3. Like, that's just the reality of the game, how strong snowballing is in the game right now. And I think if K-Corp comes into the mid-game with a more even game, we're going to see what they're actually good at.
Yeah, if they can actually play League of Legends this time, we'll see right after the break. So far, G2 opens up the score. We'll see if KC can come back right after this.
And we're back for more League of Legends, hopefully closer League of Legends than in Game 1, because G2 came out swinging in the first game of this series.
Yeah, it's important to remember that the winner of this series goes straight to the LEC Grand Finals, which is starting next week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, so they go to Sunday.
Yes, they go straight to Sunday. Meanwhile, the loser will go to face the winner of Koi and Fnatic. So we've got three best of fives left, plus today. So there's a lot on the line for both these teams. Of course, there's only one spot at first stand, the additional international tournament that we have. We've already seen some teams locked in around the world.
already going.
already going.
Well, I was not going to say that to avoid spoilers.
Look, it's several days at this stage.
Okay, TL literally happened yesterday.
It's 24
Well, I didn't say that one.
24 hours, it's fine. And come on, we all knew 100 Thieves weren't going to win.
Okay, I didn't say that. But yes, ahead of us right now, both of these teams are fighting for a spot in the LEC Winter Split Grand Finals. And right now, G2 have come out the gates swinging. But this is where things start to get interesting for us, because of course we've seen the best of 3 Fearless, but now with the best of 5, you're going to have to dig deeper into the pool. And so far in Game 1, it was very traditional in terms of draft. Very front to back, nothing too crazy. And we were talking about prior to this second game, how the Poppy now being gone makes a lot of other champions a lot more valuable.
Yeah, we were saying things like the Rell suddenly become a lot more valuable because you don't have that opportunity to try and influence her whenever she tries to go in. So you're probably looking at things like the Alistar to try and answer for it. Leona starts to take higher priority. There's a lot of those supports that suddenly start to rise up. Alongside, you know, we're already saying the Renata and those kind of things still very strong, but you want that pairing of the Caliste alongside it, which we did see banned away, and I wouldn't be surprised to see banned away coming into this game 2 again.
Let's also not forget Vi and Ambessa banned away in Game 1 that now have the ability to be open, and Poppy was a very effective response into those champions as well. So Poppy gained a lot of value, but now that champ is gone. Let's see how the bans change for KC. Prior, they banned away Caliste, and they also banned away the Vi themselves. Now Draven makes its way onto the board.
So the Draven ban to me says they really want to go for the Caliste first pick. Ashe was kind of the answer to her. Now with the changes, less so to Caliste, but Draven's still like the premier AD carry into Caliste, but
Yeah,
it's going to be banned away.
Yeah, immediately at G2, I think it makes the most sense. We have lost 2 of our 3 most played junglers. We've lost our 2nd most played top laners so far. A couple of the most played AD carries as well. So we are already starting to move into the less seen portions of League of Legends, or at least of LEC League of Legends. There's the Zyra band away from SkewMond, his most comfortable champion, it seems, alongside the Pantheon in Winter 2024.
So I'd imagine it'd have to be the Vi ban then to try and force us into a bit of a deeper territory when it comes towards the jungler picks. Because if you get the Vi here, it's very easy to open up with things like the Kai'Sa and that for Caliste on that bottom side and set things up for a nice dive composition.
I was going to say, they might be willing to give over the Vi just because they are more than happy to play things like the Xin and the Wukong into the Vi as a response.
Yeah.
But KC, what is their first pick going to be? They've got a lot of hovers, and it looks like they are just going to stick with the Vi. We talked about with the Poppy already gone now, then that was a typically good answer that you won't have available to you. Will they look for something like an AD carry matchup alongside the Wukong? Again, the Xin also just very powerful early game junglers that can match and skirmish against the Vi.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to get something like a Kai'Sa for Caliste. Like this Vi Kai'Sa pairing has been incredibly strong. So I'm curious exactly what you want to try and opt in towards, because my guess was if you are predicting that the Kai'Sa is going to come out, you could immediately go for something like the Caitlyn. We've seen it in LCK and LPL to a certain extent, where you kind of go, hey, we're just going to go for this heavy push, and there's very little that you can really do to stop us when you've already opted into this short-range AD carry. But we'll have to see if that is going to be the game plan for G2. As right now, it just looks like Aurora plus probably the jungler that you were talking about, Betty.
Oh,
Okay.
they're going
Set
to
the
lock
Rell.
the Rell in for themselves.
I mean, Labrov has such a good game on the Blitzcrank. Give him something he's really comfortable on again. You know the Poppy's not available. Karmine Corp could look for something like the Alistar if they want a direct counter to it. They can also go, you know, towards things like the Rakan or the Leona if they just want a little bit more engaged for their team. Rakan works really well with Bai because she's already CCing someone for you. Pike is the current hover, but I think something more comfortable like the Viktor for Vladi makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, Vladi's already had several good games on it, and it's also the fact that Azir is kind of the one champion that can match his range, the Q range in lane, so it makes things way easier then for Vladi to be a bit more of a bully on the Viktor. And there we go, that Alistar answer into the Rell, just to try and keep at least Labrov a little bit more honest.
Yeah, Viktor hasn't lost on the, Vladi hasn't lost on the Viktor yet this year, 4-0 on that pick, so very comfortable for him. G2 now likely looking towards their jungle, otherwise it's really going to get pinched going into that second phase. You already have good engage, you can just look for a tank, you could look for something like the Wukong or the Xin, or you could try and get rid of some AD carries going into the second phase and accept that you're going to be pinched a little bit in the jungle pool.
It's a little weird for me though, because usually when I see the Kai'Sa, I want something like the Nautilus to come alongside it, so that then I'm able to go for that point-and-click CC. Kai'Sa's able to hold some follow-up, and we've got these easy fights to try and work with. But Kai'Sa hasn't really been the back-to-front AD carry that you would consider. But that's basically what it feels like to me G2 are going to be trying to play with in this sort of situation. Sure, you'll have some mobility where if the Aurora ends up accessing the backline, you can try and play through it, but it still doesn't feel like the traditional one. So I am curious what SkewMond is cooking to try and answer for that essentially like backline dive that we traditionally see Kai'Sa.
I really think the Wukong is the prime suspect for me. With the Xin already taken away, I'd be surprised if they didn't ban the Wukong, like Panth, Xin, Wukong. I'm trying to think of other junglers that you could maybe be afraid of, but I mean, like, you're really getting deep now. You're kind of moving into the kind of
Zax
mid to lower priority jungle engages. Some of the other strong AD carries are going to be taken around the side of G2. Corki and Xayah both make a lot of sense.
Also means we'll see something for Caliste that he hasn't played this year. He's played Varus, he's played Ezreal, Kalista, Draven, and Kai'Sa. And they're all gone, obviously, because we had the Varus and the Ezreal in game one. The Corki and the Xayah banned away, and there's the Wukong as well, alongside that Xin. So we are falling into kind of secondary tier for G2 in the jungle if they want that engage. They could look for engage top as well. With Alistar already locked in, you could go for something like an Ornn for your long-range engage.
You could also go for something like the Lee Sin for SkewMond in the jungle. Like, it beats the Vi early in the kind of levels 1 to 4.
I was just about to say Jarvan.
Okay, yeah, Jarvan works as well, yeah. Because again, it's just that you want something that can threaten that backline, and J4 does exactly that. Opens up Kai'Sa to go for it. Nocturne. Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of frustrated that I forgot about Nocturne.
Yeah, you don't play him anymore, let's be honest. You're in a Carly one trick now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great dive champion. I think that already G2 have very strong AoE team fighting tools. KC right now have a decent amount of pick potential. I'd love to see something like a Twitch.
So this was something that Targamas and Caliste actually played a lot of in EMEA Masters. More so with things like the Senna alongside it, but definitely something to think Caliste wheelhouse. We're just going to go for the Zeri. The other question for me is, are we definitely sure this Aurora is going mid? Because there is always the opportunity to flex that top, right? And you can still go for the Orianna in the mid lane as well. And I think that could also be something here where you still get that combo, which is why I was a little bit nervous about Caliste over things like the Twitch. I think KC spotted it out as well, that you could always have that execution threshold that you're just going to have to try and match on that Nocturne Orianna combo.
If you have a low mobility AD carry, it's so easy for Nocturne Orianna to catch you out, right? Zeri has a little bit because she can just surf over the walls, a little bit of mobility at least. And you have the disengage possibility of an Alistar being there as well if you get through the spell shield immediately on the Nocturne. We'll see if the Aurora goes to the mid or to the top. I mean, Galio can also go top lane.
I mean, I think the Galio pick is just so perfect here. Not only is it just... It's a very common answer into the Rumble that we've seen around the world.
BB,
yes.
It's MSI last year, but he brought it out.
I thought he even brought it out domestically.
It may have been domestically as well.
But we both remember BB playing this matchup specifically, and it pairs up beautifully alongside just the dive that G2 have drafted for themselves. KC, I feel like their draft I mean, you can see the components that kind of make it relatively safe. When the Vi wants to go into the backline, you have the Rumble ultimate to follow. There's strong AoE elements on the side of KC. I do just worry about, are they a little too much on the scaling side? Do they have much option or agency in terms of the early game and their ability to kind of build advantages within like the 1 to 6 range?
Yeah, my other biggest worry is we got Caliste bullied last game. I feel like Vladi might be the next one on the target list because you're in a mobile Viktor where you've got this potential dive of Nocturne into the Galio, into the immediate follow from the rest of the team. So I definitely think these a mobile carry is going to feel the brunt of the pressure in this game. So again, I agree with Benny. I think KC kind of need to find a good start in this game so they can look to snowball. Otherwise, I think G2 kind of get to run the map with this semi-global plays that they have.
It's been an issue for many years in the LEC. How do you deal with G2 running the map in the mid-game, right? Especially after last year where they really spent a lot of time working on their mid-game. Karmine Corp fell foul of both the early and the mid-game in game 1, but here they have the chance to strike back and give us a series on our hands. It's not been the easiest route across the last couple of years for Karmine Corp, but this year has definitely been an acceleration of their skill, of their level. And I'm waiting for the runes to come up. Oh no, the QR code thing's gonna come up first. I expected the runes, guys! You can join the LEC on WhatsApp. There's updates, there's news, and opportunities to join a special fan vote celebrating the best Winter Split moments. It's a bit of a fight on screen. Caps is going to be able to get away. Be sure to scan the QR code on the screen or search for LEC under updates. Just click on it. SkewMond's caught out as well, but he should be fine. He'll be able to walk away.
So while you're scanning...
There, the runes!
Yeah, while you're scanning, while you're looking at the runes, just to recap, what I really wanted to see coming into this game was KC fighting G2's level 1. They do this all the time. The delayed invade into the Raptors to gain some control and a bit of an early advantage in the jungle matchup. This time around, KC was ready for it. They wanted to try and push them back. They got a bit of chip damage down. They were able to get their own ward on the enemy Raptors, and they'll be able to better track SkewMond. So this time around, Yike has full control over his side of the jungle, and KC gonna push G2 back from finding those early advantages.
It does mean we'll also just get kind of standard lanes now across the board, so nothing too funky. I think for Broken Blade, you definitely want this matchup because it's so strong. The fact that you're able to get this magic shield, able to push in against the Rumble, and then again, having that access once you get to level 6 makes your team fighting impeccable as well. So pressure on KC to try and find some success, but you're waiting to, well, for Yike, I think you can try and punish before SkewMond hits that level 6, try and get into the lanes, because you know SkewMond is just going to be eating every one of his camp to try and get that ultimate available as soon as possible.
We saw Labrov there sitting in the dismounted form for a little while. I quite like doing that on Rell, especially if you think you can get the 2 first, because it's so much easier to land the flip back into the stun. But because he wasn't quite sure, he then remounted to get back, so he has the shield if the Alistar goes in on him.
Yeah, also because you get that increased auto attack range, it makes it very easy to just continue to harass Targamas, where you can poke him down outside of the potential of a pulverize or even him being able to trade back. So nicely done by Labrov. And now it's just a case of, well, with the level 2 hit, where's SkewMond off to?
Krogs. Is it a disco at Krogs? He might even just look for the smite here. He's going to sneak his way around. He'll be there in time. Yike lands a good smite. SkewMond here. Looking for the chase onto his enemy jungler. It's just going to force him out. Does have the fear. There's a blast cone there. Yike will get to it. He escapes. He can come round to the Krogs now. His bot lane is just catching the wave, but they can move first. So SkewMond decides to give up the ghost on that, knowing that he would be outnumbered, at least in the short term. Which is actually great for Yike, because SkewMond then invested time to try and come across here. You can see he still has 3 of his camps up, whereas Yike has made his way through. So should be able to take this, reset, go in, pick up the camp that he left on his top side, and then move in towards the Scuttle Crab without much of a contest. So I think you're actually relatively happy as Yike that this happened.
Yeah, I like the adaptation that I feel he made after seeing that. Well, I mean, the ward that you can see on the Raptors, I feel, was the indication that he was like, okay, I've got to shift my pathing, got to move quickly down to the bot side, and I think you're completely right, Dagda, that he's been able to stave off this early planning from G2 to great effectiveness. Meanwhile, in the mid lane matchup, you can see that Caps looking for those early trades. I think that with the changes to Electrocute that happened on the most recent patch, we are, of course, playing on 25.3, you just have a lot more upfront damage, and I think it works beautifully with this Aurora, and Caps is really trying to leverage that, but Vladi leveraging his range to trade back and actually has a bit of an edge in the matchup, forcing Caps to TP first.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just disappointed Targamas didn't go for it and, you know, opt in towards that Hextech photo bait like the world champion Beryl did, but unfortunately, he'll only beat Caps who's opted in towards Electrocute this game.
Unfortunate. I'd love to see a full AP Alistar. Remember the good old days where he could sheen proc people midair and he would play top lane for that?
I don't think those are the good old days.
Hey, as a support main, I could play top for like a match, man. It was great. Kana getting forced back here by Broken Blade, but to see the damage from the Flame Spitter as Kana gets overheated. Broken Blade, obviously, in this matchup will have that magic shield, which makes it a little bit harder for Kana to win the extended trades. But for the moment, doing a good job. About even on CS.
It's also because when Galio was reworked a little bit, so much of his power went into his auto attack that the base damage is just absolutely insane. So trying to take these trades whenever the shield is up, it doesn't even matter if you have a huge amount of mana. You can just as punch in, immediately get the hit and walk back out into a massive chunk of the health bar. So Broken Blade perfectly fine here. About to tick over to 6 as well, and which should be available then for a potential group fight if it happens. SkewMond won't be as quick to the level 6 as he would like though because of that initial invade. As KC trying to put pressure on towards Caps, but Labrov reading it well.
Neutral objectives, both on the map. Well, Cloud Drake up, but normally we'd see that rotation of the bot lane towards top if they want to contest those grubs, but both seem to be set in their ways for the time being. Canna taking a decent amount of damage on the top side as he ticks over to level 6. He's going to invest this ulti early. I think it's risky. It really does hurt your ability to contest things like the grubs if you're interested in them.
Labrov was looking for Targamas for a couple of moments there. SkewMond's only just ticked over to level 5, so it doesn't have the ability to just jump in with the paranoia, but you can see both these supports really working on tracking each other. Shadowing Strike out from Labrov. He's going to need to jump this wall. We'll still get the shield, and takes about half his health. A little bit overextended as Targamas and Yike were able to move together towards that fight.
Still though, Labrov should be able to follow up reasonably well. He still has the pot that he can tick and to make his health bar nice and chunky again. And you still got the shield that you can get off of the crash down, so an opportunity if they want to try and go for the contest here, but it looks like for G2 they're happy to just catch the wave and give SkewMond a bit of a chance to get more of these camps and potentially hit that level 6 before they go for the Void Group contest, but none of his camps are up, so maybe a late contest.
I mean, it's only down to 3,000 HP right now. Labrov and Hans Summer get the wave in bot lane. At the moment, Vladi is the first to move from mid. Caps can start to move across. Go between worlds on the back of this fight. G2 kind of watching the Drake go down in their faces right now at 1,000 HP. Engaged from Targamas. Caps forced away by Vladi. Labrov looking to get the engage, and SkewMond going on to Yike immediately, and the smite goes down, and SkewMond gets the first kill. Targamas falls for the second. G2 collapse perfectly to find the first 2 kills in the neutral.
SkewMond just gets everything there. Walks up as Targamas committed his engage onto the other side of the fight. Caliste looking for a pick, won't be able to find it. 2 kills secured for G2, the first dragon of the game, and what felt like great control, great setup from KC. They end up fumbling in the execution.
And the problem for KC now is we've already seen Targamas has started to path down towards bot lane to make sure that there wasn't a possible dive onto Caliste. SkewMond can take his Razor Beaks and get 6, whereas Yike is still going to be level 5. Labrov has first move to the grubs, so the next neutral is going to be even harder to fight.
And this is where you can see as Caps came in, Vladi rotated up to try and push him out. Stone gets in on towards Targamas, but they've called in onto Labrov. Now Yike is overextended, SkewMond just immediately runs down, and it's a good engage from Labrov onto Targamas. Again, this cow is only level 3. Hadn't got that level up because he'd spent so much time chasing Labrov around, so just not getting as much value out of it. And it's the Scuttlecraft now that ticks SkewMond over to 6, and there's just no contest from KC once more.
I mean, the truth is that Viktor and Zeri really don't have a lot of damage early.
Yep.
But I don't actually think that was the biggest consequence. The biggest consequence is the fact that Yike flashed thinking he would get out of range of the Fear Tether, but he didn't. And so then he's getting hit by the Dragon, by the Nocturne, and yeah, it's just it's an awkward situation to turn around. So ends up being a big win for G2 in themselves out of. Again, the scaling elements that KC have could definitely prove valuable later on into the game, but for now, it's G2 that have that control.
And G2 have had the control in the head versus head across the years as well. 5-1, this is only including Riot official games, not including the Red Bull League of their own. But For Karmine Corp, it's been a bit of a struggle. The one game they have won between the two teams was at the start of this year, and I think a lot of people looked at it as perhaps the sign of a new era in the Karmine Corp G2 rivalry, which is only excited rightly about Karmine Corp generally at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, and about the league, especially given that G2 felt like that they were slumping, they had new members that they need to figure out how they fit into the system. Seems like it didn't take them very long. And speaking of, Labrov made his way mid.
Vladi does have the flash, dodges the Shadowing Strike, but still hit with the crash down. Won't have to burn his summoner for this. Trading back onto Caps. Gravity Field will get the stun here. Yike coming in with a cease and desist. And Caps was greedy with his path thing. Vladi and Yike punish him.
I mean, Vladi is just clean with it. Beautiful movement. He bought more than enough time for the KC support crew to come in and set up for a kill. He doesn't end up getting it. They hand that over to Yike. But ultimately, KC get themselves on the board.
And I think there's been so much talk about Caliste. Vladi kind of gets overlooked at times, and this guy has been spectacular. I know a lot of people started to see his worth at the end of last year, but now in this year, he has really stepped up to Caps, despite the game one not going their way.
Oh, especially on the Viktor as well. He's died 5 times over 4 games. Averages, I'm going to do some very quick maths, like 7 kills per game as well. He's been on absolute form, hasn't lost on the pick this year. Caps getting punished in the mid lane for a little bit of greedy pathing as well, back into that gravity well, still getting rooted up by it. SkewMond does have the Experimental Hex Plate now, can look for that paranoia. So far, his focus has been mostly about getting to that level 6 and then playing around those neutral objectives.
Oh, might be looking mid though.
Vladi still has flash here. They're just going to burn it out of him. The fear comes down. SkewMond backs away before that proc tethers.
And it's not the end of the world to burn that a minute before the next Dragon fight, right? Because again, we kind of highlighted at the start, the target for G2 is going to be Vladi. Without Flash, he is way more vulnerable to SkewMond and Broken Blades combo, having Caps been able to jump in onto that backline. So I think that's a lot of where that next focus will be for G2, and it may be on KC to just go, no, we're not looking at Dragon, we're instead going to just try and match Void Grubs, make a play towards that top tower instead, and trying to avoid these fights where we're still looking to scale into this game.
Yeah, very much agree. We'll see what direction KC end up choosing, and they're going to have to choose fast. We look at the minimap, we can see Alistar making his way towards the mid lane. Vladi going to path towards bot, and it looks like Caliste is going to be heading towards mid, so at the very least, they've set their sights on getting mid lane control. The fact that Hansam is moving to bot means that G2 will have an access into the river through their bot lane 2 versus 2. Labrov quickly out on the map. We've heard the Analyst talking about how he likes to back early so that he can quickly get his way out already.
Yike is Hans has just pushed this out without any vision at all. He thought he was safe because Labrov saw Targamas, but Hans is in for a world of hurt right now. The collapse can come out. Hansam just on the edge of the Vault Breaker there. That could have been disastrous for G2. Karmine Corp collapse well, and Caps put some damage back into Caliste. The TP coming out from Canna as well as he's going to join the fight. Caps now on the wrong side of the rift, does have the flash, can jump across the wall as well. Paranoia out from SkewMond. And now in the middle of the pit, SkewMond dives in onto Yike, who tries to dive onto Hansama. The killer into the barrier. The equalizer's enough. Yike gets the kill. Caps, though, starting to collapse with the rest of G2. Yike will fall. Targamas goes low. The ignite ticking on him. The stun landing from Vladi as Labrov falls as well. Karmine Corp find 2 and should be able to get the Dragon off this as well.
It was a bit of a scramble, but KC are able to come out on top. Yike immediately getting that lock up, but they kind of follow. Oh no!
Oh, it's a disaster for everyone. The taunt goes out onto Targamas in the end. The Winds of War will kill him. Okay. Okie dokie.
It happens. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Ultimately, Broken Blade still got the kill. And what was largely a one-team fight for KC, they'll have to back off. They'll concede the Dragon. But let's look back at this scrap.
Yeah, it's a bit all over the joint because you can see Caps is eyeing up Caliste. Caliste runs away from Vision to make sure that he's going to be out of position, but that's where SkewMond immediately jumps in onto the 2 members of KC that are there. But it's a good follow-up from Canna with that ultimate to get the pick. Now everyone at G2 tries to turn on towards Yike and Targamas, but Caliste, fair play to him here, goes over half HP, knowing that there's very little that actually threaten him on the backside of this fight, and they're able to get that fight, but unfortunately then Targamas picked off at the end of it.
I really just love that target focus from Yike. Very decisive, very quick, and the great thing about it is Labrov, who was zoning off the 3 members of KC, he then tried to help his AD carry, which then just gave them easy access into the fight. So ultimately, great execution. Vladi, remember, no flash on him.
Canna's on his way though. doesn't have the equalizer, but Vladi immediately turns it onto SkewMond. He has to flash away, and with the Electro Harpoons hitting his back, Vladi has been on absolute fire so far this game. 0-0-3 on the scoreline, but his gravity fields have been locking G2 in place.
I mean, I feel like Vladi sees into the Arcane with how he's navigating his way out of these ganks. He gets the support from Canna, he's able to find the outplay, and he remains deathless in this game too.
Yeah, he's been having an absolutely exceptional game, and again, KC have been benefiting massively off it. In a position now where they can actually set him up on a side lane, keep the pressure there. Canna, though,
doesn't have flash, and Labrov's on his way across. There's the taunt. Labrov's still chasing forward. Canna has the movement speed from the scrap shield, but the flash shattering strike, equalizer coming out as well. Magnastorm to pull Canna back. Do they have the damage? They're tanky enough, but Canna tries to burn them.
No way!
Broken Blade! Oh my god, that was as close as can be. G2 limp away with the kill.
Broken Blade had to go through 2 full rotations, and he had to tank like 4 tower shots, but just barely. They had enough damage between the two of them. G2 find themselves another pick onto Canna, but in terms of the map state, I don't know if it really changes much. The Herald's going to be spawning in a minute's time. I'll quickly check if Broken Blade's ulti will be up in time. I don't think it will be.
But that's the thing, right? Because they end up investing all that on bot side, I actually think it hurts G2. I think they wanted a quick kill into tower take, so then they had that numbers advantage on the map, but because they don't get it, well, now you've invested a huge amount for this play, but you won't have it for a potential play on the top side. And look, Canna survives for so long here, ends up getting the scrap shield, doesn't actually end up blowing through to overheat, so he can consistently get access to that scrap shield when he needs it, and then it's the slow just at the end there, and a good tank from Labrov and Broken Blade end up having it work, but it's this next fight I'm now worried about for G2.
I mean, in the end, the damage they had there was Hollow Radiance on Broken Blade, which isn't the most powerful at bursting down a target. Meanwhile, we're going to see the Paranoia coming out, and that's a lot more powerful at killing someone off. Canna dies in the side lane. SkewMond there at the right time as Canna was stepping forward. The Rift Herald is available in 5 seconds. I doubt G2 will want to fight around it. It looks like they're trying to target the first turret instead.
It was a good call from Canna, though. He turned on towards the wave immediately and killed it, so now that push is delayed from G2. Should be in a position where Canna can actually TP down into that bottom side and protect that turret before Broken Blade can make his way through it, whereas now KC are putting pressure on towards this top side. As you know that SkewMond has no ultimate to try and defend, but I think it's more just an empty threat as Yike wants to take the Rift Herald.
I think from Labrov is good as he looks to cover caps on the top side. The threat of a dive was very real, especially given that G2 was expecting the Herald to be started off by KC. Vladi is ramping up very quickly, has the Seraphs.
Yeah, let's talk about where we are in terms of items and spikes. Caliste has about a 500 gold lead, already has that Yuntal complete. Obviously, a feat of strength going over to G2, so a small advantage for them there. But across the board, about an item apiece in every main carry role.
Pretty much a very even game state. Quite the contrast to what we had in game 1. Nice to see that KC was able to kind of slow the pace of the game down and not be thrown into the chaos that G2 is trying to enact early on. When we think about how these teams want to interact with their composition, remember G2 have a lot of dive. The basic combination is Rell ultimate and Galio ultimate. I mean, you saw it in bot lane onto the Rumble, but just imagine doing that onto multiple members of KC. That's why burning Vladi's flash, as Dagda was talking about earlier, can be very valuable, because when he doesn't have any form of mobility to get out of that situation, it makes it much easier to set up that quick kill and convert it into a one-team fight.
And that's why for KC, you're happy coming up to this next Dragon fight in 30 seconds, because you have all of those flashes coming up and available. You have Vladi, who should have his TP available to get down into this bottom side as well. And it makes things a little bit more difficult for G2. You can even see KC just trying to play to at least have one access route into this river, because in a front to back, I think things are kind of okay for KC, as Broken Blade and SkewMond alone can't really kill people at this stage.
I think that KC's biggest strength of their composition is the scaling. We know how effective Zeri and Viktor can be in the late game. And I mean, that Viktor ultimate, single kill, the storm only continues to grow and its impact becomes unrelenting. Pings have come down.
it's a difficult fight for G2. Karmine Corp have done a really good job of setting up vision here. You can see Caps actually TPing behind the Dragon right now. Broken Blade has that Hero's Entrance. The Paranoia is first. Caps dives in. Hero's Entrance going in as well. Isn't going to land a knock-up. Targamas got a 4-man towards the top side. Caps has been forced away. Broken Blade in the middle of the pit, tanking everyone. Targamas is going to die. The Equalize will clip on Summer. Broken Blade falls as well. Yike trying to step forward, will land the smite, and now G2 are separated. Summer's down towards the bottom side, limping through the river, through the jungle. Caliste trying to get the damage, and will kill off Targamas. Now Rift Herald put down by KC.
G2 ended up trying to jump onto Caliste, and he was happy to pounce his way on out of there and continue through the fight. That combo not working for G2, and now KC gets so much off the back.
The idea is to utilize the Nocturne ultimate to allow Caps to find the flank. And so watch how this fight starts. But look at the target selection. Caps goes in, immediately gets chain CC'd by the mid-jungle duo of KC. They force him out. He doesn't even get to ulti. Now Broken Blade is isolated in the Dragon Pit, while the AD carry is diving onto the Alistar. All of the damage disappears. KC can utilize this 4-man strong unit to turn the fight around, and they force G2 out. KC get the Dragon. They get themselves 2 kills. They get good damage onto the mid tower. And I think for the first time in this series, the momentum is very much swinging in favor of KC.
Damage so good, they actually killed off that mid-tier 1. They get some damage on the tier 2 as well. Caliste getting his 2nd kill of the game, taking down Labrov at the end of the fight. And now, as you say, Karmine Corp very much on the front foot. Only about 1,000 gold lead for them. And you can see what G2's composition wants to do. If that Hero's Entrance from Broken Blade is a little bit later, if it's on Caps on the back line, perhaps things would have changed.
But the thing is, you are on a bit of a ticking clock with G2, because you'll get a Zhonya's Hourglass for Vladi. Makes that combo way less of a threat for him. Caliste has a lot of that mobility built into the kit, especially around the walls at these objective fights. So I think for G2, you need these early plays to start landing, and they need to start happening very soon.
Oh, the Artican, a possible fight. Tend to see teams wait for a neutral objective to be up to fight around it. It's 3 minutes on the Drake and 4 minutes on the Baron, so I think maybe we have a little while before that big 5v5 team fight again. Targamas and Vladi will spot out Labrov, who's trying to get some vision of his own. Targamas just with a headbutt away. Excuse me, sir, this is my jungle. You could kindly acquiesce to leaving the premises right now. That would be great. Both of you are like, it's the lull before the storm. It's the calm moment where everyone's like, okay, game's close this time.
I mean, I was largely just thinking about what both teams want to do next, because, I mean, if you're KC, there's still outer towers that you'd love to play for. The easier one is probably on the top side of the map, but right now their vision is, and their lane assignments are better set up for the bot side. And the problem is G2's kind of getting ahead of them. You can already see, look at the side lanes. Canna can't afford to move up too far because he doesn't know where the Nocturne is. Playing on these side lanes is very dangerous with SkewMond's ability to quickly collapse on you. So you kind of have to stack like KC is doing right now, where they play heavily through one side, and G2's just matching, making it harder for KC to actually contest these objectives. Now, though, they push them back a little bit. That bot tower is very low and primed for the taking. KC would love to try and grab it.
And it's really hard for KC to try and play around this top side while Adacon's up, because if SkewMond turns off the lights, he also turns off Canna's ability to teleport, which makes it really difficult for you to contest, whereas Broken Blade has the TP, he also has that ultimate, he has multiple ways to get into the fight, and you can even look at the pathing that Broken Blade is taking to that top side. He's wandering always close to that bottom side, so he has that ultimate available if he needs to. Now he shows in the top wave, he disappears into Fog of War, and you continue that threat for G2.
Yeah, unless you see Broken Blade as Karmine Corp, it's really hard to pull the trigger, because you know he can always be there. Alongside that, Caps is at 2 items and 1,000 gold ahead. Like, if you're not killing this Aurora quickly, if he gets an ult off in a fight, it's donezo for a lot of this backline. They are still very squishy, even though they have been able to get ahead in some of these roles. Karmine Corp now pathing back towards mid to gain the prio. You can see he was pushed out by Summer. He's been accepting the wave a little bit further, a little bit deeper, because he doesn't have a tier 1, which is why Karmine Corp get a little bit more push there, and then can move in the river a bit more freely.
It's also the investment of Canna in towards the mid lane, so they invested him there to clear out the wave, which meant he lost the wave on top side. The Broken Blade was pushing in, but it's whenever you see Canna on this top side of the map, I want you to keep your eyes on Broken Blade, right? Because at the moment he just disappeared into that Fog of War. All he wants to do is
Caps has been knocked up. He tries to get away, but the shutdown goes out. The cease and desist into Arcane Storm combination enough, and we talked about how Caps could be a nuisance. Well, Karmine Corp put him in his place. Labrov will join him in the grave, and now Artican is begun.
Just fantastic timing from Yike. Just as Caps face checks the brush, he is there ready to ulti him. Vladi crucially gets those 2 kills as well, so a lot of gold just in invested into his pocket. He secures the bot tower as well. The Rumble ultimate committed into mid. G2 can't trade anything back. They're trying to get the tier 2 in top, but Vladi continues his push.
Yeah, and he's even, looks like you're going to TP up to that top side to make sure that you can't get any more as Broken Blade. So massive pick for KC, and it comes off the back of Caps just overextending into that Tri-Brush that little bit too far.
And now they have the false life for not only the Dragon spawn, but also the Baron spawn if they want to fight around it. G2, 2,000 gold in the hole. Leads for Caliste. He's almost at his third item. Void Staff and Seraph's complete for Vladi. They don't quite have that Cease and Desist Arcane Storm combination back up, nor the Equalizer, but as soon as they do, you feel Karmine Corp will be ready to pull the trigger.
Vladi starting to walk down, so G2 trying to see if they can burst out this Dragon before he arrives, but now you have to take the 5v5 as Vladi's shown up, and that ultimate is not quite up cooldown, it's just there.
On the flank.
No Cease and Desist yet. 7 seconds before that one comes back up. Yike tries to dive in. Targamas dives in as well. SkewMond forced down to half HP. The flash away from Broken Blade and Caps will force Targamas to withdraw, but Karmine Corp got the prize they were looking for. Cease and Desist in as Caps is locked up once again. The hero's entrance. You're diving into your demise. Broken Blade. He tries to land the taunt. Unsummer putting the damage down across the fight, but now he's the one locked up by G2. He manages to take out 2 with him, but there's only false lives. Vladi stepping forward, dodges away from the Shadowing Strike.
30-second death timer on Caps. Over 30 seconds for Hansama, but the Baron is available in 10. I think KC can just make a beeline towards it, force this objective, and force with numbers advantage, and with a few members still having the false life available, I mean, this seems like the easiest play for KC, and they can just keep riding this momentum.
Feels a little risky because Vladi's base has been stopped and he doesn't have the teleport. So you do have a position here where you can go for this, but Broken Blade is already working his way up towards it. Caps has TP in 2 seconds. If they pulled the trigger right now, maybe there's a window, but Caps is already in top lane.
Yeah, I do think that with Broken Blade having low mana and low engage, you can try and fight this.
Labrov knocked back Targamas. Already in position, and Labrov will fall. Well played by KC. Targamas, I think, Hex splashed across the wall to get in there.
I think it was just the threat of the Baron forcing the TP and Caps on ward.
Yeah, Targamas finds him again with the Hex Splash, and Caps is down. A moment ago, we were talking about how far ahead he was. Now he's 800 gold in the hole, and Karmine Corp turn their eyes towards the Baron.
The thing about the threat of the Baron is it got the TP out from Caps. It got G2 to haphazardly approach the Baron so that they had information and vision. And because they were slightly broken apart in terms of their setup, KC found picks. So they might be looking for more.
Targamas constantly finding people here. SkewMond dodges the stun with his Shroud of Darkness. The Baron will go over to Karmine Corp, though. SkewMond looking, see perhaps if he can get across to his red. Yike coming in across the wall here. And Labrov, you only just got back to life. Take a nap, son. Targamas puts him in the dirt.
Hansama's on the bottom side of the map, so KC, you're like, great. You try and contest any of the vision on this top side. We're going to take you down, and we're going to take your towers with you. KC are running through G2 in this game, too.
KC, a single pick on the Caps, and now Hansama in a lot of danger.
Hans has the killer instinct, will dodge away from the Equalizer. Canna realizes he can't really trade now because of the range advantage the Kai'Sa has. The tier 2 in the top lane does fall, though, for Karmine Corp. Now a 6,000 gold lead for them, 27 minutes in.
And it's been great from KC to really understand how this G2 composition plays. It is so combo reliant. We keep talking about it, but KC, by forcing the Baron, are just saying, look, you don't have the Galio ult, you don't have the Nocturne ult, you have no threat for our backline. So Vladi and Caliste get to do what they want every time we are coming into these fights, and KC have done a phenomenal job of setting up the map in a way that nullifies everything G2 are trying to do.
I mean, and it's just crazy to think how they just waited for a specific point. They needed those item break points, and really we haven't seen... I mean, I would say that it wasn't a big fight that broke open the game. It was that single pick on the Caps in the bot side of the map. After finding that double kill, they got so much off the back of it.
Labrov dives in immediately onto Caliste. They're looking for the CC. He flashes the wall, though, and SkewMond tries to follow him. He doesn't win that fight. Canna pops his stopwatch, buys himself a second in the middle of G2. Yike chasing SkewMond down towards the bottom side. G2 retreating up towards the top, and SkewMond is going to fall. Caliste will take him. They shielded around with the stun. The route down to Targamas. He's going to escape, though. Broken Blade tries to get close enough, but there's no justice in the world that saves you there. G2 lose 3 again, and Karmine Corp are knocking on the door.
G2 are desperate, and KC know that. They are constantly in a position to match them, and Caliste just skates away, and KC are skating over G2.
Vladi looking to continue his winning ways with the picks. He's had fancy feats, many outplays, and now KC find themselves at the doorstep of the Nexus of G2.
Arcane Storm onto Caps, just forcing him back to the fountain. The Equalizer will follow! And Caps dies! There is no place safe for G2 as Karmine Corp land a punch in this best of 5.
What an answer from KC. Game 1 had a lot of fans a little apprehensive about what this game was going to bring, but they have quickly responded with a win on the board.
Great play overall from KC. They handled the aggression in the early game from G2 very well. They navigated through the team fights with great patience, and they outplayed and punished the mistakes that we saw from G2.
Great play all round from Karmine Corp. We're going to go to a short break. We'll be back with Game 3 of this best of 5. We'll see you after this.
Damn it. Hey Dragos, you ready for the... Oh, that doesn't look good. Wait, I have a solution, but you have a break. I will be right back. Just wait.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
See? I told you we'd figure it out. I don't think this counts.
Come on, let's go.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Wait, is he switching lanes?